Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall have been getting into a beef lately. It's no secret that I'm not the biggest Jon Jones fans. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm think he's the most talented fighter in the world, even PEDs and everything included. I mean, he 50-45s his wife once a year, so that's where I don't like it. I mean, candidly, I don't think he's that good of a guy, but he's a damn good fighter, so his fans are going to be extremely delusional and let him have everything. But Tom Aspinall is really going at Jon Jones. And I'm going to read some of what's going on to you guys as the fans here, and I want you to, at the end of the day, tell me who's right, because you're going to get my opinion from this. But I want you in the comments to let me know, who do you think is right here? Is Jon Jones ducking? Is Tom Aspinall able to beat Jon Jones? I mean, we're going to really see that. So it's story time with Uncle Twan right now. The first tweet: only 4 recognizable opponents, and already the King of England. Must be nice. There will be legendary tales told about you and your infamous callouts. Now, Jon tweets that because he's a child, but also because Tom Aspinall's really coming at Jon Jones saying, I should be fighting you. Now, to give you a little bit more backstory, Jon Jones was supposed to fight Stipe Miocic, which is a fight that no one really wanted, but it was a legacy fight. So Jon can be a champion and then retire as the greatest champion ever, and then the UFC can say that Francis Ngannou is not the best champion. Look at what ours did. Jon had to pull out of that fight because he tore his pec. Now, I'm not saying he faked it. He didn't. It looked very, very legit. He's going to be out for a number of months. So on that same MSG card, Tom Aspinall had to step up and fight Sergei Pavlovich because Stipe didn't want to. And Stipe's 42. He hasn't had a win since Alex Pereira's been in the UFC. And Alex Pereira is a 2-time champion at this point. He's already won the light heavyweight championship and the middleweight championship. So that goes to show you that Stipe is just not actively involved in the UFC. But he's considered the greatest heavyweight of all time in the UFC, which isn't entirely wrong. Now, Tom Aspinall steps up on 2 weeks' notice to fight Sergei Pavlovich, who is the Russian Francis Ngannou. This dude has 6 first-round finishes in a row. Anybody that comes into his path, he puts out cold with the power in his hands. I thought Pavlovich was going to win. Aspinall steps in on 2 weeks' notice, and in 59 seconds, sure as shit, he takes a punch, wobbles a little bit, but ends up going inside 1-2 quick, right over the top, and knocks Sergei out cold. It was incredible. I was shocked. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. And this is after Penn State, so I don't even know I had the fucking energy to keep going. It was crazy. So he becomes the interim champion of the world. There has never been a scenario in which the interim champion of the world didn't next fight for the undisputed title. That's what's going on right now. So he's calling out Jon Jones saying, Jon, you should be fighting me. I'm Tom Aspinall, right? That's just me trying to do an Aspinall impression, guys. It didn't really work out. He's a great fighter. But he deserves the title shot. No one wants to watch Jon fight Stipe and then go into the wins. And if Jon's going to immediately retire after fighting Stipe, doesn't that make Tom Aspinall the undisputed champion of the world already? But I digress. It's Jon Jones, and the Jon Jones fans will never let that go. So it's just a little context as to why Tom is calling out Jon. He wants to be the best. Plain and simple. He wants to be the best. He wants to fight the best. That's why he wants Jon Jones. So Jon comes out and says that, and then a fan actually responds, he's done all you can do. You can't blame him for being frustrated. And that completely depicts the situation right here, is we all believe this as fans, as Tom Aspinall deserves it. So then Jon responds, I mean, it doesn't really work like that. I was a champion when I was 23 years old. You can't show up at age 30 pretending like you've been chasing me your whole life. I have no clue who 90% of his resume is. Meanwhile, I've been highlighting UFC events for my entire career. I didn't see anything in that that's not factual, except for the not knowing 90% of his opponents. If that's the case, Jon, then maybe you shouldn't have taken 3 years off and you would have known it. But not entirely incorrect, but it's a little petty, right? It's a little petty. Just to me, that looks like ducking a fight, saying, I'm not going to fight you because you don't deserve it, even though you've run through the whole division to get to me at this point. Tom responds very cordially, Jon, you're letting your ego run wild here, mate. I'm not downplaying your resume. It's incredible. Far superior to mine. You are known as the best fighter ever, and that's exactly why I want to beat you. Surely you can understand that. I understand that. He wants to be the best, and to be the best, you got to beat the best. Now, in this division, the best is not blessed, but it's Jon Jones. So Tom wants to beat Jon Jones. He wants to beat the best. That's completely reasonable. Can we all agree on that? To respond, Tom actually doubles down here and says, quotes, Jon Jones, you need to fight people to build your legacy. Me, great idea. Absolutely. UFC, do you want to fight Tom? Stipe says no. Jon says no. Tom Aspinall. So if you want to build your legacy by fighting the best fighters, how are you going to tell him he can't fight you as the best fighter to build that legacy? You just want him to sit there on the sidelines and wait? At this point, if you're going to retire after fighting Stipe, you're not the champion. This is just a legacy fight, and it's a Legends fight. Call it that. You can sell pay-per-view based off a Legends fight, but you're not the undisputed champion if you're not fighting the interim champion. Plain and simple. My question to you, and Jon has come out with a number of tweets after this just saying, nope, you got it all wrong. I'm not going to fight you. Like, this is stupid. I'm fighting Stipe. I deserve it. For all that I've done for the sport, I deserve it. First of all, I don't know why I do know why, but I don't agree with the UFC doing everything they can to protect Jon Jones when it's a guy that is just overall not a great person, overall, multiple PED failures, and he's ruined cards by himself. He has actually gotten the only card that I know of canceled. Why are we going all this way to protect this guy? Now, I get it's to make sure that people don't regard Francis as one of the greatest, but if you're asking me my honest opinion, I think if Francis steps in with Jon Jones, I do think Jon Jones beats him. I think if Francis steps in against Tom Aspinall, I think Tom Aspinall beats him. Now, Francis is an animal. Tom's just quick. Tom's that same size, similar power. He's just fast, man. He's faster. He can get in and out. To me, Tom Aspinall, I think he would beat Jon Jones at this point in his career. Now, a prime Jon Jones, if he went up a little bit earlier, we might be talking a different story. But at this point in Jon Jones' career, after a torn pec, that's a hard thing to come back from. I think Tom Aspinall would get it done. But I want to know what you guys think. Is Jon right? Is Tom right? Should Jon be fighting as the undisputed champion and interim champion? Or should he be fighting a 42-year-old that hasn't won a fight in over 3 years? And his last fight wasn't a win. It was a loss to Francis Ngannou, who's in another organization, who's actually boxing now. Who do you think's right here? Is Tom right? Is Jon right? Is Tom getting screwed? Is the UFC doing him dirty? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments.